This year, we really had to think on our feet. The way we work at Decisive changed, the way our users work changed. So when 2020 gave us this whole new set of problems to solve, we would think, how can Pendo help us talk to our users today? And then all of a sudden, we're coming up with in-app surveys and sign-up sheets for new webinars we're offering to our users and getting responses, So Pendo really helped me push through and think about ways to solve a problem this year. And I think that's what's really paid off for myself, our company, and our users.
All right, welcome everyone. Our session today is called Dig into the Why, and we're going to discuss how Banzai uses Pendo to drive product decisions. I'm Rachel Stanley. I'm the Director of Customer Adoption here at Banzai. That basically means that me and my team work with all of our customers throughout the onboarding process for basically the first 30 to 120 days, depending on if they're a pilot or not. But it also includes things like our knowledge base and using Pendo to help train up our users.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andy Lento. I'm the co-founder and also chief product officer here at Banzai. And my main responsibilities are around setting the vision for the product and also prioritization of what to build next, and just make sure that we're building an incredible experience for our customers. All right, and I'll kick us off, just tell you a little bit about us. Who are we at Banzai? So we're an event marketing automation solution, and we support event marketers through audience and automation, help them raise awareness about their events. Interesting thing about I guess our name, the Banzai pipeline, that's kind of where we get Banzai from. So we're trying to fill our customers' pipeline to create new revenue opportunities. And also another piece, just make sure that we have the right people at these events. So that's kind of what we do here at Banzai.
Awesome. So we're actually new Pendo users. 4 months ago, we were at a point where we were really ready to start building out our help center and look at ways to really help with customer adoption. Customer adoption was actually a brand new department under customer success. And so we decided to go with Pendo initially really to help me help train our users. But then we also loved how it also helps with making product decisions. And so it was a win-win for us. So our challenges for pre-Pendo was just, communication between the two teams. Customer success, we're obviously the ones on the front lines, talking to all the customers, hearing feedback, all the things that I'm sure you're aware of at your own companies. But we also just didn't have help resources at all. We are very one-on-one, no one-to-many type of training. So we really needed to add training tips to the user interface without adding a bunch of new things for product to build. And so Pendo was something that I could do myself without having to get Andy and his team involved. And then we also just had a lack of data on how our users were using the product. And we loved that Pendo would give that to us. And then just understanding the customer experience within the platform, because we obviously know how we built it and intended it, but it's another thing to see what customers are actually doing once they're in the platform. So Andy and I really started off this year trying to develop a good partnership between the two teams. And so naturally that brought about a lot of different meetings to help with communication. One thing to know is Andy and I are on opposite and coasts. I'm in Seattle and he's in Raleigh, North Carolina. So we have, as everyone right now is having the virtual communication, we were always having to do virtual communication. And so first thing we started off with was Pendo committee. So bi-weekly, we started meeting on Fridays with, it was me, Andy, the VP of customer success, so my manager, and then the director of operations and director of marketing. All of us came together because we all had, we were all kind of stakeholders with this, because for operations that includes support. And so Pendo tips to help decrease the number of support tickets and questions. And then marketing's involved because we wanted to advertise webinars and, the NPS survey and things like that. And so that's how we started off. And then beyond just Pendo and just like product and customer success, we started actually meeting weekly to make sure that I knew what was going to be released, so that I could have a Pendo tip ready, or if needed, whatever it was customer facing, or a help article. And now we've gotten to the point where we're having enough communication that we don't have to actually meet every Monday. And now someone on Andy's team actually sends out an email. It's super clear. I can filter and see things that are customer facing, and I know what I need to work on before the next release. And then we also have a broader product and CS meeting bi-weekly. And this is a chance that our CS team, we have a top 10 of features that we really think are important. And this is where we have Andy's full attention to explain why we think these things are in the top 10, and then he can give us feedback back and, ask questions, understand the why, dig in deeper. And it's scheduled for 30 minutes, and it almost always goes for an hour. But it's a really good use of our time, I think. And then a newer thing for Andy and I is to start looking at Pendo data together. And honestly, it was even in preparation for this session, which was a good motivator for us to do the session, because it really encouraged us to get together and look at the data within Pendo.
Yeah, so I can tell you a little bit about what we found as we started digging deeper. One thing I would just like to say, it was really nice just learning how easy it was to tag features in the app, and just kind of the usability, or the UX. It was pretty easy to get going, which was really cool. So tagging features, and then getting the immediate feedback, right? So as soon as you tag a feature, you can then go and look at the movement through that. So I thought that was really, really interesting. But also we started digging through and the ability to tag URLs, right there in Pendo, and then also navigate through the app, being able to tag things that way, and just really just being able to see the data. Because we had an idea, we build our software in a way to create certain product paths, right? And we want to try to, guide our users, to do certain things and take certain actions that we think they would want to take, right, to benefit them, either creating an event, starting a campaign, creating an audience, all of those things, and saying, are they getting stuck anywhere? So we had ideas, and we were solving problems based on what we thought and based on what customers were telling us, but we couldn't really actually see what was going on. So being able to create, paths and funnels, and getting in there and seeing what users are doing, like what percentage of users are actually going to the campaigns, or what percentage of users are, looking at the registration page after they create it, like do they even know about that feature? So it was really helpful to get in there and just start visualizing, the actions that customers were taking. And this started to create conversations where, CS, customer success, would say, there are things that they thought that they were seeing, then we could actually go verify and validate, that that's actually what's happening. but also saying like, what's the magnitude of this, right? Is it happening to other customers, right? Well, let's go look at our most important customer. They have a renewal coming up. Let's see if that's happening there for them, right? So it's just been able to really help us just dive in a lot deeper and work with CS. And, there are other things that there's sometimes as I'm digging in, I see things in product, right? As I'm looking at analytics, and I can go to CS and like, hey, I think this customer could be having an issue. So it's really been able to just create a dialogue back and forth. And Rachel does the same thing as she's looking at data and she's seeing things. She's coming back and talking to product. So just both of us looking at the same truth, and just really, kind of having the I guess, X-ray vision into what the users are doing, and having a really easy way to uncover that has been really helpful here at Banzai for us to, basically, what is the next action to help us create a better experience for our customers. But it's been a great experience so far.
Cool. So one of the first steps, shortly into starting with Pendo and working with Andy, that actually came up in a Pendo committee meeting, was that I needed to create a QA process with someone on his team. And which totally makes sense. But at first I struggled with what that process should be. And so I just thought it'd be helpful to share with where we landed, because I think we're in a good place right now. So, I started off with Google Sheets and a Slack channel. We're very heavy, like G Suite, Slack, and Atlassian. So like Confluence and Jira. And so I actually ended up getting rid of the Google Sheet. I still have a Slack channel, because even though you get an email notification when using Jira, it's still, we're in Slack, and so it's a nice little ping. But I thought I'd show you a little bit of our process. So I just like a good Kanban board, but so you can see there's some ideas, and then I move it along. And so I'm the one creating it, and then I have our director of marketing review it in the content review, and I assign it to her. And then when she gives edits, I move it into the content update and activation, which, is a Pendo term, activation. And so I update what she told me to update, and then I move it over to QA and assign it to someone on Andy's team to QA it. And then obviously when she does, I move it to public, and then there's the disabled ones. But within the actual ticket, we're using, you can see in the description, there's a link to a Confluence page. And so the Confluence page, sorry, this is a lot on the screen. Pretend you're scrolling. This is like 2 scrolls. So on the left here is at the top, and you can see this is actually from yesterday. And so there's 4 new, like I say, there's 4 new guides. I give screenshots, but then at the bottom, I still have, because I'm just copying this page from the last one, there's still like the static kind of experience or expectation of Pendo of what's there. And so she goes through and QAs it, and then, like I already said, I move it to public, and it's pretty smooth process so far. So what we know now.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sure. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I've touched a little bit on it. But we, like I was saying earlier, we actually can see how customers are moving through the app, and we have, these paths, or there's, different options that customers can take, and, we can actually see that, which is great. And, the other thing is that, when we have like a hypothesis, like we're going to create this feature, and, to save time and customers, or that customers can get value from it, right? And so what we can do now is not only understand just what we've already built, but as we're going to build something, and as we set our success criteria, we can actually go into Pendo and see if we're hitting the mark, right? So, for instance, if we, create a button, and, we're like, okay, great, we're going to create this button, so that they can go look at their registration page. It's going to be really great. We can actually go in and say, like, are they actually using the button? Is this actually working? So we're incorporating it, like, also into our success criteria in product development. We can see where our customers are spending their time, which is really helpful and just gives us a lot of insight on whether or not there's certain pages where you want them to be spending their time, like looking at reports, and but there are certain parts where you don't want them to be spending a lot of time, like a form, right? So if it's taking them 10 minutes to get through a form, there's probably a problem there. And so Pendo is just kind of showing us, those, that data so that we can, act on it. The other really cool thing is, we've got different kinds of customers. We have pilot customers, customers that are there for the first 3 months, power users. So we have data there that basically it's a different thing. When we know it's someone's first experience with the app, that's really important to us so that we can focus on onboarding features, right, versus someone who's in the app every day doing the things that's not related to onboarding. So segmenting that out and really looking in there has been really helpful. Also, just kind of understanding, who our most important customers are, right, and making sure that that segment of customers are having a good experience in the app. And yeah, I talked a little bit earlier just about one of the important things is for our customers to understand all the value that our application can add and bring. One of those things is the registration page. So just seeing, digging into that and understanding how people are using it, if they're viewing it. So that's, something that's been really great about using Pendo and just having a deeper view on particular features.
Yeah, so speaking of viewing registration page, this has been a hot topic recently.
Right.
So, why is this an issue? It's an issue because our customers are looking to us to drive registrations to their events, and we're using our own registration page for them. But if they don't add a cover photo to it, or they don't look and make sure the description looks good and the agenda, we, can still use that registration page, but it might actually impact our conversion rate, which, then impacts ROI for them. And, it's a trickle effect. So CS was anecdotally telling product that this was an issue because we were, spot checking and then going back to customers and reminding them to add a cover photo, or we would go in and edit formatting a little bit ourselves. And, we want this to be a self-service product, and we want them to do it themselves. And so product, Andy, did tag the button. So on this Pendo guide over here, you can see a screenshot of the red view registration page. So he tagged the button to actually be able to view the data of how many people are, and he set up, was it a path or a funnel? One of those.
A path, right.
And just saw that people were dropping off before, they would create their event and campaign, but not then go and review their registration page, add a cover photo, all of that. So I made this slide, so I put the CS was right, of course. But the nice thing about Pendo is that there's an immediate solution. So I created this guide over here that's just one more thing and you're done, but which is a good for now, but Andy's also now looking into how to include it as part of the event creation flow, which would take longer than creating a Pendo guide. All right, so looking forward, the next 6 months, I think I'll speak for product that you're going to start tagging every new feature, right? So that we can look at the data there. And then I'm just going to be continually working on guides and targeting different segments, looking at different customer bases. I'm looking at doing an NPS survey to our customers and other polls and feedback on new features. And then just continuing to work closely with other teams as well, like marketing. We advertise every new webinar. Support is just really trying to keep decreasing their ticket count. So they're communicating with me, like, I'm getting this question a lot. And so how can we, proactively answer that? And then really a next step for me is going to be like, I want to involve the rest of the CS team to be able to log into Pendo and look at data for their specific accounts. So there's a lot left to do, and it's exciting to learn more and more. And here we are. Thank you very much.
Cool.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.